Hello Loggers fans, and welcome into another edition of Meet the Loggers. My name is Nick Riddolotti from the Loggers Radio Network, and today I am joined by Loggers relief pitcher Jacob Dorris. Jacob, thanks for being on today.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Now, Jacob, leading the league in strikeouts, top 5 in wins as a relief pitcher, pretty amazing, and you've been honored as a Northwoods League All-Star for the first half. When you came to La Crosse back in late May, did you expect this?
Maybe not all of that, but it was just kind of you come and you expect to play well, and you expect kind of come and help the Loggers win. There's a lot of great tradition here, and there's some high standards coming in with some great pitchers ahead of me, and you don't expect the All-Star game and leaders and stuff like that, and you try not to keep up with it, but I did expect to come in and pitch well, and help the team win.
Who was the first person you called when you found out you were an All-Star?
Definitely, my parents. Called my mom and dad and let them know, and they were super excited for me. I had a kind of a rough freshman year, and they were excited to see me be able to bounce back and kind of come back and have a good summer. So
now, Jacob, it's kind of interesting because your senior year in high school, you were planning for college, but unlike a lot of the guys on this roster of the Loggers, you weren't planning around baseball. You kind of thought your path through baseball was going to be done after high school. Then you all of a sudden get to pitch in a game. Take us through that chain of events, why you got entered in as the pitcher, and how you found success.
Yes, sir. I was fully prepared. I had applied to a few schools and was just ready to go be a student. I was playing shortstop and couldn't hit my weight, and had kind of made up my mind I was ready to just go be a student somewhere. And I was playing a game my senior year, and I was turning double plays before the game, kind of flipping the ball sidearm across the infield. And our ace pitcher showed up a few minutes late to BP, and our coach said, "Hey, we're not going to start you." And so they asked me, "Hey, do you think you could pitch?" And I told them, I hadn't pitched since I was a little kid, and I wasn't very good then. And they said, "Well, what about sidearm? Could you throw a strike sidearm?" And I went in the bullpen and threw a few around, and it felt comfortable. And I started that night and went 7 innings and only gave up, I think, 3 hits and threw a shutout. And ever since that night, that's kind of all I've done. And it's interesting, just the Lord works in mysterious ways and kind of led me in a different path from that night on. And it's just exciting stuff. I went from kind of the realization that my baseball career was over to within one night, it had just begun. So,
have you called that pitcher and thanked him?
Oh, for sure. He's good buddies of mine. We're still really good friends, and he tells me all the time, kind of razzes me up about it, and tells me he showed up late just for me to help me out. So
that's good stuff, Jacob. Now, talk about that sidearm style. You talk about it's not quite submarine style, but it's a very low delivery point. And the amount of deception that's involved in it, and how that's helped you along the way.
It's my whole game. It started off in high school as like I said, just got my kind of lucked into, and it just felt comfortable. And then now that I've been pitching for a little over a year, it's really starting to feel comfortable, and I'm starting to learn more and more every day. Coach Katz here, our pitching coach, is fantastic with helping me out, and it's unreal how much I learn every day I come to Copeland Park. And it's the deception and the movement is what I live by, and that's something that I really hadn't harnessed fully until I got here this summer, and I really started to learn how to take advantage of those things. So.
And now, as you said earlier, kind of a rough freshman year at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, but you've had so much success here. What's been the biggest reason? You kind of touched on Ethan Katz and certain things, but what's the one specific thing you think, boy, if I can take this back to Texas A&M Corpus Christi, I'm going to be set?
It's definitely the mental preparation. That's Coach McKay preaches it every day in and day out, that you've got to get your mind right to play. You've got to get to a neutral spot in your own head to be able to go out and perform consistently every day. And that's what I struggled with my freshman year, was consistency. I had a real up and down year. At some points I looked really good, and at some points I really struggled. And you don't realize it at the time because you're just an 18-year-old kid, but it all comes down to not mentally being prepared and being ready to go get outs. And Coach McKay's absolutely, changed my game as far as how I mentally get ready to play a game every day. So,
do you feel like over this past year, graduating high school, freshman year, and now through this summer, it's been the most development you've had, maturing, becoming more of a man and more of a baseball player?
Yes, sir. It's been an absolute whirlwind. And like I said, I was ready to just go be a student, and I was fully prepared to just, kind of go have the 4 years of school and ready to go get a job in an office somewhere. And it really kind of, it hit me like a ton of bricks when I started getting calls from scouts and coaches trying to find me a place to play in college. And I honestly, I wasn't really fully prepared for what I was getting myself into playing college baseball, as far as the work and how much you're out of class and how much extra work goes into it. But, it was a great learning experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's really helped me develop a lot as a person as well.
Now, a few weeks ago, Jacob, we were on a road trip coming back after a tough loss, and a few big games were coming up. And I saw you take pitching coach Ethan Cass to the side and say, Coach, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but I need to pitch these next few days. Talk about that mentality of these games are going to be big. I want to be out there. That mentality of I need to be on the hill in a big game.
I mean, I think it's something that it's crucial to me in my game. And, I like to think that's what makes me effective is that, there's no situation that I feel is too uncomfortable. There's no situation that's too big, and I want the ball every day. I mean, me and Coach Katz, we get in an argument every day about he tells me I need to lay off and not throw so much, or hey, you need to sit down today. You threw last night, and I'm always telling him, no, I'm ready. I'm good to go. And it's just, and part of it too is that I hadn't been pitching long, and my arm feels live, and I want to get more innings. I learn so much every day working with him, and I learn so much being on the mound every night that I want to be out there, and I feel like I'm ready to help the Loggers win. I just go in there with the mindset every time of. I honestly feel like I have the best defense in the league behind me. We've got some absolute playmakers in the outfield and infield. And I know that, really all I got to do is put the ball in the zone and make it dance a little bit. And, the guys are going to ground out and guys are going to fly out, and they're going to help me get the outs for myself. And, when you look up and you got a guy in an 0-2 or 1-2 count, then I'm able to do some things that Coach Katz has really worked with me on, like, throwing that big slider, throwing that big hook, and, doing some different things that, those things lead to strikeouts, but the key, is just to come in and fill up the zone and try and get ground balls and fly balls and let my defense work for me.
Now at this point, you're threatening the team strikeout record, which is held by a starting pitcher. You're a relief guy. I've made the argument, and a few others have as well, that your influence out of the bullpen, the amount of innings you can pitch if need be, and your consistency out there, you could arguably be the Loggers MVP this season. But I want to get your perspective. Who do you feel is the Loggers MVP this season?
I mean, I hate to name a single person because, everybody has played a role. And I know that's a very generic answer to say everybody's the MVP. But, I mean, there's been times when this team absolutely couldn't have gone out on the field without Steven Polaris. With injuries and stuff, the guy's he's done it all. I think he's played almost every position on the field. Joe Meggs is a guy that, he hadn't been, he didn't make the All-Star team, and he's not real flashy, but, you can count on Joe Meggs for a hit a night, and this team absolutely, we wouldn't manufacture runs without the guy. Boomer Collins is, he's absolutely just been as clutch as I imagine any Logger can be. The guy's, had 4 or 5 walk-off hits, and every time you're in the extra innings, you look up and Boomer's either at the plate or he's at third base. There's not really one guy that I can, effectively name. You've got, and then at the pitchers, Jake Sassy's obviously an all-star. He's been clutch for us all year, but then you got guys like Alex Gunn that you get a consistent performance out of him every time. And there's really nobody on this team that I feel like, that's the guy that we got to have playing. You send out 9 guys, and there's 9 more on the bench that I know we could win a game with. So
I think that response right there, Jacob, kind of sums up this team. This entire roster seems to be so cohesive. Everyone's got everyone else's back.
Oh, for sure. This is it's been a great experience all summer. This group of guys is unreal. The team chemistry is absolutely amazing, and it's just been great that there is so much turnover with temporary contract players and guys getting hurt and guys having sore arms and new guys coming in. And everybody gets welcomed in with open arms. And I've been here since day one, and there's never been any, bad blood between anybody. Everybody seems to like each other, and that's why, we're one of the only teams in the league I know that gets here at 1 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. But there's never any, feeling like, man, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. It's such a good group of guys, and it's who you want to be around and who you want to develop with.
Do your teammates at Corpus Christi, when you talk to them, do they understand that? I mean, I feel like it's not a normal thing in summer ball to have a roster like this.
No. And granted, I just finished my freshman year. I've never played this is my first summer of collegiate baseball, but just from the sense I get from everybody else, no, it's not real normal. My buddies that are on other teams in the league and other places that I talk to on the phone, they say they've got friends and they enjoy it, but it's not that cohesive group that we have. And I really feel like that's, got to do with a lot of our success, and I think it'll lead to success later on in the season. So, I think that is definitely different here in lacrosse.
Jacob, who would you say is your biggest influence growing up and now to present day in the game of baseball?
I had a Little League coach whenever I was 10 to 12 years old named John Chesney. And, wasn't really talented when I was a kid, but he saw some things in me that, that he could work with, and kind of took me under his wing. And the main thing he taught me was just how to love the game. It was something that, every kid loves the game of baseball, and it's a fun game to play, but he kind of taught me that there's a difference between loving to just play and then really respecting it and working at it, realizing just how really hard this game is and how complex it is, and that if you want to excel at it, you've got to take your mental game and your physical game to a new level. And I still talk to him on the phone pretty consistently, and he's just always in the back of my head. I mean, he's told me things when I was 10 years old that still stick with me today, that line up with stuff that Coach McKay teaches us, Coach Katz, and every coach in between.
Wow, that's interesting stuff. And if there was a major league ball player that you say your game most resembles, who would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough one. There's not as many sidearm guys in the bigs, and so it's tough to line myself up with anybody. I'd like to tell you, I'm Tatiyama for the Rangers. I'm a big Rangers fan, being from Texas, but I do a lot of things different than him, and he does a lot of things different and a lot better than me. But I don't try and model my game off of anybody. I feel like what I do is different enough, and that I have my own niche that I've kind of slipped into, and I hope to just be able to develop my own game. And there's nobody in the bigs that I can really sit and watch and go, I do that just like him, or I want to do that just like him. I've kind of found my own way, and I want to try and just develop it to as much as I can.
What about growing up, Jacob? Who was your favorite baseball player?
Oh, that's a tough one. I was a big David Eckstein guy when I was a kid. I was always real little. I'm skinny now, and I was always kind of shorter when I was a kid, and I played shortstop and loved David Eckstein. He's always kind of the little dirtbagger guy, and just worked hard and always got the job done. And I was always a big fan of Eckstein.
And Jacob, final question here before we get you back to the field. If there's a memorable moment for you this summer, either personally or as the Loggers team, what would it be?
Definitely that 15-inning game. I came in, I believe, the 10th, and it was one of the most exciting games I've ever pitched in personally, and it was a career high for me. I had quite a few strikeouts that game, and I pitched well, and everything kind of culminated and came together for me for a solid performance. And then seeing Boomer Collins, after I work hard, my defense works hard for 6 straight innings, and to see a guy like Boomer, who's a great buddy of mine, who works hard day in and day out, and just see it pay off for the both of us and for the Loggers in general. We fight that whole game for 16 straight innings, and to see it all come together at the last moment like that, and see him hit a 2-run home run to walk off was something I'll definitely never forget. That's just not a baseball experience that comes around too often.
And were you surprised at how many Copeland Crazies were actually still in the stands at 12 in the morning?
At that time I was, but now that I've been here for a while, the Copeland Crazies are second to none. They great group of fans. It's unbelievable to me how many people know your name on a first-name basis, and how many of the same people I see in the stands every night, and they'll sit through a rain delay, and just the commitment's unbelievable here.
All right, well, Loggers fans, Jacob Dorris is a fan of you. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Meet the Loggers. Jacob, thanks for being on.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you next time.